Hello there, welcome to another video, and today we're going to draw Naruto using dip pens. And the final result is going to look something like this. Well, how do I know that? I just happen to have a time machine. That's how I know. But anyways, in this drawing tutorial, I'll try to teach how to draw Naruto in the proper manga style, which is why we'll be using dip pens. And if you guys are not familiar with dip pens, let me just give you a quick introduction. These are old school pens which need to be dipped into ink before you're able to draw with them, and you can only draw with them until the ink runs out. Well, kind of sounds like a bummer, right? Not really, because these pens have a very big plus point, which is that they can give you insane line variations. So you can vary the thickness of the line depending on the pressure that you put in while you're drawing. And dip pens are what most manga artists use in order to draw manga, which is why manga art has this distinct quality with a lot of line variation to it. Today we are going to draw Naruto the way Masashi Kishimoto draws him in the manga. So firstly, we'll start with a basic rough pencil sketch that we're going to ink over. I have the reference image on the left here so that you can easily follow along if you choose to draw this illustration with me. And we'll just start off by drawing the head, which is always the easiest place to start off with. And it gives us a good idea of the size of the whole illustration. Now Naruto has a square kind of head shape, and I'll just draw this vertical line down the middle because we want to ensure that there's symmetry in the face. And then we'll just draw his clothes, and here you don't have to be completely perfect, so it's pretty easy to draw his clothes because it's a very simple pattern here, and you don't really need to stick to the reference that much, so it won't really take that long to draw his clothes. And although you shouldn't really add a lot of detail while you're just drawing a rough sketch, but I do find that for drawing clothes it's good to add all of the folds and lines that are in the reference, so that you don't need to go over it again. Like, once you draw that part, it's just done and there's no more detail to be added. Now I'm drawing his hands, and you can see that I'm just kind of estimating the size of his fingers based on the rest of the drawing, and not really drawing it as you would properly draw anatomy. But it kind of works for manga drawings. You don't need to be that precise. And some of the drawing is actually out of frame here, so forgive me for that. Now drawing the right hand, and yeah, you can see that I'm sort of erasing and going over, making corrections, which is always a good thing to do. The most important thing here, of course, is to estimate the size of every part of the drawing, and you have to do it by comparing it to other parts of the drawing. The ideal way would be to draw a grid on the reference as well as your drawing, and it makes the whole thing easier, but it's kind of like doing the job of a printer, so I don't really like that. And now I'm drawing his face, and again, just estimating where everything would fit, and you can see that it naturally makes sense. I'm just starting with drawing his left eye, and then drawing two horizontal lines to get the other eye in place. And this is how you are always supposed to draw eyes, especially if it's a tricky angle. Then drawing these horizontal lines is always a good thing, because you don't want to finish your drawing and then realize that you've fucked up the symmetry in his face. Now I'm just drawing his hair with kind of light pencil strokes, not really making it too dark. because we are going to ink it after all. And then we'll just draw his headband. I've drawn the Naruto headband or the Hidden Leaf headband so many times that it's really kind of muscle memory for me at this point. It's a very simple shape, so it's not that difficult to draw. And I actually found out that I drew the hair kind of too big here, so I'm making them a bit smaller in comparison to his head, because this is the older version of Naruto and we don't really need that big of the hair. The big hair suits more on the smaller version when Naruto is younger. Big hair and big eyes are what really helps make an anime face appear to be young. And here I'm adding more detail and making some corrections to his face. And yeah, that's basically it with his face. And now I'll just add other things like the chain of his jacket. And now that we've completed this rough sketch, we'll proceed with inking. So for inking, I'll be using a G pen nib. So this is a standard G pen nib which has a reservoir on it, which helps hold a bit more ink. And we'll start off by inking his face. So while inking the face, you just need to be careful about how much pressure you're putting in on the pen and where you need the line variation. And yeah, I kind of forgot to sketch in these lines on his face, but now I'm adding them in. And in here, we've assumed the light source to be on the left, so all the shadows will be on the right. And accordingly, I'll be making all the lines on the right side to be thicker. So I will be pressing down harder on the pen in order to get a thicker line on the right side. So you can see that the right side of his hair I'm making to be much darker than the left, and that helps create a sense of depth in the drawing, helps make it sort of three-dimensional. And yeah, and that's just basically his hair. And do not hesitate to even go over the same line twice, even if you're using the dip pen, because the goal is to get perfect lines, not really to get perfect lines in one stroke. You need to be careful while inking his eyebrows and inking the face in general, because you can't really press down too much on the dip pen, as in it will just ruin the face if you're let's say drawing eyebrows and you get a huge ink blob there. That really won't look good at all. Drawing in his headband, and again you can see me hold the dip pen a bit in the vertical position here, because I want precise lines. And I'm adding some hatching here to his hair and also the face. Dip pens are really great for hatching, so I never hesitate to add some bit of shadow using dip pens, and it looks pretty cool as well. Doing the same thing on his hair, and you can see that already we have added a lot more depth to the drawing just by shading with the dip pen. and we're going to do the same thing on his clothes. So just pressing down hard on the pen to get really thick lines here. I actually recorded the sound of this entire drawing process as well, but it has too much background noise, so I didn't really keep that on here. But the noises that the dip pen makes while scratching on paper are very satisfying, so it is pretty satisfying to draw with a dip pen. And you would know what I'm talking about if you've used a dip pen before, that it is actually quite satisfying to draw with a dip pen. And again, having our light source on the left, we will keep that in mind here as well. And you can see me adding some bit of line variation here accordingly. And even if you do not keep the light source and all of the light and shadow stuff in mind, if you just add random line variation to vertical or horizontal lines when you're inking with the dip pen, it adds more depth to the drawing. So it gives it kind of a realistic effect. You can see that I'm drawing thicker lines for his clothes overall compared to his face, and the G pen nib really helps us get those thick lines, and that's kind of why I use dip pens for inking mostly, because you don't need to really change the pen again and again like you would need to do with a fine liner. And adding more hatching, it's really fun to hatch with the dip pen and add tones with it, so that's why you can see me adding a lot of lots of hatching here. Naruto's jacket is a very simple but iconic design, I would say. As in, there aren't really many characters in other anime that have such a strikingly recognizable outfit. Let me know who is your favorite character in Naruto down in the comments. For me, it's definitely Itachi. I find his character to be very deep and meaningful. You can see me adding a bit of hatching on his hands. Now this is not really recommended, as in you shouldn't really add shadows everywhere in the drawing with a pen, because it might look a bit weird. But if you have enough control over the pen to get really fine lines like I'm doing here, then you can do so, and the result is actually pretty good. So now I'll just erase off all of the pencil lines, and that will make the whole drawing look a lot cleaner. It already looks a lot like a panel from the manga itself. So now I'll just use this smaller dip pen or the dip pen with a really small nib called the Maru nib or the mapping nib in order to add some details. And I'll be adding a little bit of shadow underneath his headband, like so, and adding more sort of hatching on his face. And I've just erased all of the pencil lines, and you can see I did get a little bit of a disaster here. On the right you can see that the ink got smeared because I didn't really wait for it to dry, but it happens quite often when you're using dip pens, so I'll just continue with the drawing anyway. I'm using sort of a thicker drawing ink for inking this illustration, so it does take a lot more time to dry compared to the normal fountain pen ink. I think I should get some quality ink from the dip pens because I mostly use fountain pen ink, and I just recently found out that thicker ink works better, and this illustration did turn out to be much better than my other ones, so yeah, we'll see. Maybe I will get the deleter manga ink, which I've heard about. Now I'm just adding shadows on his jacket using a brush pen. And a brush pen is really great for this thing in particular, which is filling in black areas. You can get the job done really quickly with a brush pen and with great accuracy. Although I don't really like this felt tip brush pens, the ones which have bristle tips are much better, but this one is good for filling in black areas, and I haven't really used it since a long time, so that's why I'm using it here. Otherwise, mostly for my pen and ink drawings, I use the Pentel Feud brush pen, which you might have seen me use in other videos. I've also made an unboxing and review of the Feud brush pen. You can check it out on my channel. And if you're enjoying this video, do give it a like and comment your thoughts, as it really helps me out, because I'm planning to post videos very much regularly on this channel from now on. So yeah, it would really mean a lot if you could support my work. Now I just took this charcoal pencil and decided to add shading to his jacket, but then I compared it with the graphite one to see sort of which one should I really use, and I just thought of using the 8B graphite pencil instead. So this is the Faber-Castell 8B graphite pencil, which I'll be using to color in his jacket. And yeah, you can see that the 8B pencil really gets the job done pretty quickly. And I kind of had the light source in such a way that I wasn't really able to see how much darker I'm making the lines because of the glare, so I had to sort of uplift this whole sketchbook along with the paper in order to properly see what I'm drawing. And so you can see me going over the whole thing again to make things a bit darker. Now in manga illustrations, they mostly use a marker for it, but I just ran out of the gray marker that I have, so I'm just using a pencil instead. But it gives a very similar effect, as in there's not really that big of a difference between adding tones with a marker and adding tones with a pencil, because at the end of the day you're just drawing in grayscale, so it won't really look that different. Although it is a bit faster to add values and tones with a marker than it is with a pencil. I do need a new marker set actually, so I think I'll do an unboxing video for that one as well. Let me know if you guys would like to see me using more markers in the future. But yeah, that is basically it for the jacket, and I actually decided to add the orange part using the same pencil, but just holding it off at an angle and shading in to get this really light sort of shade. And you can see that I basically filled in the entire area in less than half the time that it took me for adding the black parts in. And now I'm using a brush to get a smooth finish on all of the gray areas, and you can see that it really does make the pencil lines a lot smoother, which is sort of a really good hack. And yeah, basically that's the whole illustration. I'm now just adding in a few details using the pencil, and you can go on adding details forever, really. Although it does help to add some details in the end, it sort of helps give your drawing a finishing touch. And yeah, basically that was how to draw Naruto using dip pens. And let me know what you guys think of the final result. This is how it turned out to be. In my opinion, it's pretty good, considering that I didn't really spend that much time on it. And yeah, let me know what you guys would like to see me draw next. So that was how to draw Naruto using dip pens. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did enjoy it, you might want to check out some other videos on my channel. I'll add the link to all of my tutorial videos down in the description, as well as you can probably see some of them on the screen right now, and I'll see you guys in the next one.